Victor Gao joins us to talk about Afghanistan. He's the chair professor at Soochow University. Victor, China and some neighbors, regional neighbors, created the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in 2001 with the goal to fight terrorism. So in 2001, of course, we saw Afghanistan as this haven for al-Qaeda. So talk to us about the concerns there in Beijing, because I know the last SCO meeting, regional stability was on the agenda, so was Afghanistan.
Definitely, when SCO was founded about 20 years ago, it was very much designed to contain the spread and spillover of radicalization, terrorism and extremism, mostly from the war zone in Afghanistan. Now, 20 years later, when the United States troops and NATO troops have been withdrawing from Afghanistan and Taliban is on the verge of forming a new government in Afghanistan, I think we need to face the new reality. And China is willing to deal with whichever government that emerges from Afghanistan, and China respects the fundamental will of the people in Afghanistan. But we also need to see with our eyes what exactly the Taliban government eventually will decide to do, whether they honor its promises to respect the rights of the woman and refuse to become a haven for terrorism and extremism, or whether, for example, they will resort back to their old tactics and become very much of a menace to stability in this particular part of the world. China has made it very clear that China will not allow Afghanistan to be used by any force to become a threat to the fundamental interest of China.
And Foreign Policy magazine's out with this analysis. They say Beijing had a very good working relationship with the government that fled. It's hoping to have a similar relationship with the Taliban. As we mentioned, Wang Yi meeting with the Taliban leader in Tianjin just last month. It does have some investments and a Confucius Institute at Kabul University. Afghanistan is going to need to rebuild the country. Do you see a role for China moving forward in that regard?
Absolutely. If the Taliban government, once constituted, decides to do the right thing, moving the country towards greater stability, national reconciliation, respecting the rights of girls and women, for example, and also refusing to become a haven for terrorism and extremism, China definitely can step up and do a lot of things. After all, Afghanistan is a neighboring country of China, and Afghanistan's geography and location actually positioning itself to be very an important hub in the local connectivity, which is a very important part of the Belt and Road Initiative, leading to multiple directions, and Afghanistan can actually gain a lot of economic benefits if it focuses on economic development. That's what we hope, and that's what we expect that the Taliban government will eventually do, but we need to be on the vigilant. We need to urge all parties to do the right thing, rather than, for example, allow terrorism and extremism and radicalization to flourish again in Afghanistan.
And China's also expressing a willingness to talk with the United States about promoting a soft landing in Afghanistan. The State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi already talking by phone with Secretary of State Tony Blinken about making sure there isn't a civil war or humanitarian catastrophe. So talk to me about these two countries. We've certainly seen a lot of differences between the United States and China in recent years, recent months. Can they work together on this despite all their differences?
Well, it is encouraging to see that Secretary of State Blinken and State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi already spoke a few days ago about the situation in Afghanistan and about how and what these two countries can do together to help stabilize the situation in Afghanistan. I hope decision makers in Washington will realize that in today's world, for major international issues or regional crises, you really cannot solve these problems without China's assistance or China playing a positive role, and without China and the United States to move closer and closer onto the same page, rather than, for example, the United States try to completely disregard China's global impact or try to sabotage China's positive role in many important issues. Afghanistan is a very important example to show that if China and the United States can get their acts together, cooperation is much better than antagonism and confrontation between the two countries as far as Afghanistan is concerned.